All right, what are we talking about? We're talking about a Bobcat 453 I recently acquired. This is a small Bobcat. The bucket's 3 feet wide. That's the only attachment I have. The guy I got it from was able to get hold of some fork truck forks. He cut them and welded them onto the bucket so the bucket had more weight to dig. So that's why those are on there. He also painted it. So I think he thought maybe it was a better idea to paint it than to let it look ugly when he sold it. So a couple things with this Bobcat is there's no hinge. Whatever was originally here to lock the door in, if anything, is not here anymore. It has a Kubota engine. Not a lot's been done to it. I checked all the fluids. Everything looks good except for the radiator fluid is a little dark. I need to flush the radiator system. So at some point, this is the hydraulic fluid here, right? See? Or hydrostatic fluid, whatever you call it. Anyway, there's a hose here. It goes back there. I think at some point somebody replaced this. Cut the hose just a little bit long. The hole is down there for that bracket to be mounted to. But he didn't mount it. They didn't mount it. So now it just flops around. But the hole's there. So I have to get that bolted at some point. This is only a 15 horsepower engine, 3-cylinder. Yeah. The hydraulics has a flow rate of about 6.8 gallons per hour. So it is not a high flow. Diesel fuel. He painted over that. It's got a gauge under there, but that's been overspray. This pipe wasn't in the clamp, so I put it in the clamp. Some other things that I've noticed is here on the bucket, you can see right down here. Let me see if I can point to it from the bottom. Set that down. This right here is flat up against the bucket. Over here is at an angle. And you can see both of them were supposed to be attached. I'm going to point out on the other one, there's a little more light. The weld's broken off from right there where my finger is. So, at some point, I'm going to drop this bucket off, see what's wrong with it. Have to weld that back up. I don't know why that's even there. This quick attach has only one handle. I haven't operated it, so I don't know how that works. Poorly or excellent. Someone has put a bracket over the auxiliary hydraulics. There is no high flow. These also operate at 6.8 gallons per minute. So there's not a lot of rotary devices this thing will operate. There's probably not a lot of rotary devices to be put on this little bitty thing. Like all Bobcats, there's grease points all over the place. There, over here, underneath the seats. You can see I'm missing my rubber boots for my steering levers. Those are missing. There's your lift bypass lever there, right there. It does have a parking brake. It does have hydraulic over hydraulic controls. There's my foot pedals. This is your actuating lever to release your controls once you pull the bell down, just like that. And then inside of the cab, we have a key switch, a couple lights, water temp, oil. Then you got a cold crank button there that goes up and down, and then the horizontal button is your lights. And it does have 2 forward lights and 1 rear lights on this particular, or lights, I said plural, lights when it's just 1 light, and I'll show you that real quick. It has a rear facing light, and then it has a clock for hours, and it has a battery charge and temp gauge. That's probably that top one is oil. The bottom one may be hydraulic fluid. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. When I got it and I lifted the cab up, it was nasty, nasty, nasty. But I've since cleaned it up somewhat. Inside the cab here is an operator's manual and another book that's, I forget what it was, but it didn't give me a whole lot of information. But it was there, so it's there. It is equipped with seat belts, and it does have some instructions in here. These kind of instructions, and it does have the some operating instructions, warnings over here on the other side. So here is what we're looking at. This Bobcat right here. It's a F-Series 453. There's not a lot of videos out there for 453s that I found that are real helpful, so I'm going to try to do a few and put them on, and maybe they'll help somebody out. Alright, I've cleaned out from underneath here so it doesn't look half bad. So I'm holding this cab up because the latch that it should be in there is gone. It doesn't exist, so I'm having to hold it up manually. But I cleaned it up. So there's your reservoir there, your engine, your steering levers. Just so you know, your auxiliaries, the auxiliaries operate by moving this left and right, your auxiliary hydraulics. But if you look, there's a bolt in there. That bolt is right there. That bolt prevents this from being moved. But there is a lever. The rod is there. Let me show you that right there. That is the auxiliary rod. Or cable. Hooks to that's part of the cable. I really don't know where that goes, what valve that is, but I believe this is the auxiliary here. These two. I think this is tilt, and those two, which is this one and this one, are the lift, and that's the valve block right there. So I don't know why they did the auxiliaries like that. I don't know if something's wrong with them, or they just didn't use them because they take too much power from the machine. I really don't know, and they may have done that so nobody did use them. in my cab, my manual is cabled so that you can't remove the manual. That makes me think that this at one point was a rental unit, but I do not know that to be true. But it makes me wonder. Fuel tank, and I'll do some videos on the maintenance and stuff that I do. I do have the service and maintenance manual, digital copy of that, and I have the operator's manual in the little holder there in the cab. Another thing, if you're on a 453, and I don't know how many others, but you have to have the door open to lift the cab up. I have used it a little bit to do some things since I've gotten it. It works pretty hard. It's pretty small, but it works pretty hard. So stay tuned for some more. Oh, and by the way, yes, somebody did put a John Deere seat in this thing, or a low seat or some kind of seat. It looks like a John Deere seat to me, but the seat that came with this would have been black. Clearly, that's not black. So, there you go. Bobcat 453. A lot of oomph in a little package. I like it. Any questions, comments, put them down below. I'll get them back to you. Oh yeah, let me show you this. Like most Bobcats, this does have the little access plate to be able to clean out the bottom some. So I did not take this off when I cleaned it up, but I will next time. So next time I'll put the video up showing the grease points, how to get the bucket on and off, and then at some point I'll do another video. We'll cut that bracket off and we'll find out whether or not the auxiliaries work. But to do that, I need to get a implement to be able to attach to that. And I think I'm going to get a grapple bucket, Frank's grapple bucket, the one that I repaired and didn't do a video on, but I should have. But no big deal. And there's your service schedule right there on the back side of it. So if you're thinking about getting a 453, I like it. It's nice. It's a good little machine. It's a little tight sitting in here, but I'm 6'2". I weigh about 205, and I fit without issue. As a matter of fact, the only thing I did notice about this Bobcat is when I lean the handles forward, I have to lean forward a little bit, which is not a bad thing, and I'll show you why. I don't know if this is stock. Maybe this plate is, but it's got this weight on here back here, so it's, without a load in the bucket, it's heavy in the rear end and light on the back. It can tilt back, but it will tip onto its rear wheels, but it won't flip over as long as you're on somewhat level ground. So when you raise this boom up all the way with nothing in it, that right there, that weight in the rear takes over, and it will tilt you back a little bit. No big deal though. It's not a big thing. So while you're leaning forward, I'm actually shifting my 200 pounds forward, keeping me down a little bit. So it's not a completely bad thing. But I like the fact that it's got a weight in the back so that I can counteract whatever I pick up. So as I use it, get a little more experience with it. I'm used to driving Frank's 773. It's a little bit, it was a lot bigger machine, but well, I'll determine whether or not I need additional weight, less weight, and more or less weight up front. And I'm questioning what this is. This appears to be a weight also. I don't know if I could put another one on there or not, but that appears to be an added weight to the front. All right, so there it is, Bobcat 443. Hopefully I'll put some more videos out there so that anybody's interested in getting one or has one and has questions, maybe we can answer them together. All right, guys. Hit a like, hit a subscribe. It's free. Helps me out some. Don't hit the notification bell. You don't want a notification every time I post a video, because I post videos on so many different things that you're not interested in all of it, surely. So yeah, don't bother hitting the bell. That's just crazy talk. All right, guys. That's the one I bought it. Have a good evening.